What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So I've played Battlefield 6 open beta early today for about 6 hours, probably more than 6 hours, and here I am giving you my first impressions about the game. We're going to talk about the gunplay, movement, map design, the decision making, which is basically forced by map design. We're going to talk about weapon customization, how effective that is. We're going to talk about vehicles, gadgets, class system, and actually splitting the entire Battlefield community into two parts, how team play is promoted in this game. Finally, we're going to talk about performance. So without further ado, guys, let's go ahead and get straight to the point. First of all, this is a first impression video based on 6 hours of gameplay. We all know that 6 hours of gameplay isn't something that you can actually rely on. So this is called a first impression because of this, because you are just going into the game, you're playing it for the first time, and your opinion might change in the future. So that is also solid for this video. But one thing is for sure, guys, if you compare this beta to Battlefield 2042 beta, that is completely uncomparable, first of all, because 2042's beta was completely just ridiculous. This one is actually playable. There are bugs, there are errors, especially on PC. Things are not that good when it comes to performance, especially because of all the errors that might occur for no reason. But all in all, it's a very playable and a very polished game when it comes to an open beta. So first of all, I'm going to start with movement because it has always been the hottest topic of discussion when it comes to Battlefield 6 from all the leaked footage of Battlefield Labs. So in my opinion, the movement is on point. However, there's one issue with the movement that is going to affect the game completely just related to gunplay. They're directly in relation with each other. And we're going to talk about gunplay and we're going to mix these two factors and see how they basically impact each other. But about movement, I do believe the game stands in a very good position when it comes to it. The slide is actually very good, in my opinion. It's not too much and it's not dull. Like, it's in the middle ground, and in my opinion, it's something on point. Also, there is no sort of b-hopping anymore. There's no sort of going through the entire map, just jumping around. There's nothing like that, okay? Actually, if you jump in a gunfight, you are most likely going to lose that gunfight because of the impact that it has on your ADS. Kind of completely disturbs your aiming, and you probably won't be able to kill the enemy if they're, let's say, 15 meters away and you need an ADS. However, if you're basically facing someone from up close, extreme close ranges, like SMG range, something like that, jumping around and hip firing actually makes sense. So the movement element is not completely out, but the game is a lot more grounded. It's basically uncomparable to anything like 2042. So for all of you who think that this game is fast, or you're just judging based on gameplay and you haven't played the game, you're waiting for the open beta, I'm going to tell you this game is uncomparable when it comes to movement with 2042. This game is a lot more grounded, and you just won't believe how grounded this game is until you actually get on and play it. Also, we've got crouch sprint back, which in my opinion isn't something very useful. Like, honestly, I haven't used crouch sprinting that much, and I don't really think it's useful at all. Also, going prone in this game kind of feels good, especially if you jump backwards and go prone. The animation is perfect. In my opinion, it feels good when you want to run out of some sort of gunfight or a combat situation that you basically don't want to be a part of. So in my opinion, the movement is on point. However, there's one specific thing that you need to take in consideration when you're talking about movement, and that is the skill ceiling, okay? The skill ceiling with this movement is basically low. So basically what that means is you can't actually develop skill for this movement, but the ceiling is low, meaning that no matter how much time you put in, there's a limit for getting better in the movement, because the movement in and out itself is grounded and limited. So the ceiling is lower, and you can't basically just climb up the ladder of getting better in movement. That's one part of the equation that you need to take in consideration. Also, when you grab someone and revive them, this game mechanic is, in my opinion, perfect. I believe the first time I saw this, I was like, dude, come on, what is this? I mean, a Battlefield game doing something like this. But I have to be honest, this actually works in the game. It is very practical, and in my opinion, it's one of the good new game mechanics that Battlefield 6 can actually bring to the table. So that's all I have to say when it comes to movement. So now that movement is taken care of, let's talk about gunplay. In my opinion, they have a very close relationship, movement and gunplay, in Battlefield 6. And I'll give you the reason. So when your skill ceiling for movement is low, you're going to need to compensate for this when it comes to other elements of your gameplay. One of them is gunplay. Now, Battlefield has always been known for having recoil that needs to be controlled. Battlefield has always been known for having spread, bullet drop, and those kind of stuff. The stuff that are actually absent in many shooting titles. But when it comes to Battlefield 6, at least for the open beta build, what I see is you have minimum recoil, sometimes little to no recoil on some weapons, and your spread is really minor. Like, you don't have a spread that, throws bullets all over the place. You are literally just laser beaming. Now, they might actually come up with some sort of fix for this, and maybe there's a build that they want to give us for the second phase of open beta. I'm not really sure, but speaking about the first phase, the build that we're playing right now, the recoil is not there. Now, this simply means that your skill ceiling is low even for your gunplay, and so everyone can just start full auto shooting and they hit every single target. That is the problem with this game. In my 6 hours of playtime, I was not really using tap firing. Maybe in 1 or 2 gunfights in 6 hours, that is literally just nothing, right? So I did not really use tap firing because I believe I didn't need to. So that is something that, in my opinion, has to be taken care of. But that's not all about gunplay. You have laser sights in this game that will literally just turn assault rifles into SMGs with ridiculous amounts of hip-fire accuracy. Now, this completely just destroys the role of submachine guns, because submachine guns are used for close-range gunfights with perfect hip-fire accuracy and also fire rate. Now, imagine something like the M41 in this game. Put on a laser sight, and you're basically having an assault rifle that can actually do the job of an SMG. That is what's happening in Battlefield 6 Open Beta right now. So SMGs have a lower damage model. They probably have a lower TTK in ranges above 15 to 20 meters compared to any carbine or any assault rifle, and that is actually an issue when it comes to it. Not because they have a lower damage model, but because basically you don't even need to use them, because you can turn a carbine or an assault rifle simply into a hybrid weapon that does the job of an SMG and an assault rifle at the same time. So if you want to talk about gunplay, in my opinion, the only part of this game that needs to change in a drastic way is gunplay. Everything about gunplay kind of feels off to me. So I hope I could convey the thought process of connecting gunplay to movement and that low skill ceiling. That's the problem with this game right now. So now let's talk about map design and how they actually force you to make decisions and how good those decisions are when it comes to, being forced to make those decisions. In my opinion, the map design is okay. It's definitely above average, especially seeing the 2042 maps and how they actually messed up, remade all of them. That has to be in mind, right? So the map design is really above average, but there are flaws to this, okay? For example, Siege of Cairo has an objective in Conquest, the C objective, right? This objective has little to no cover when it comes to the objective itself, but there are buildings with open windows all across the entire objective, so people can basically just defend the objective without being in there, and you basically stand zero chance against these people. You don't really stand a chance. So some sites in some of the maps might actually need some change when it comes to balancing the maps out, but in general the maps are designed well. They're balanced. It's not like you're jumping into a map and Pax Armada is stronger or NATO forces are stronger. I haven't seen anything like that. And some people actually claim that these maps are small. In my opinion, people will always complain. However, what I've seen in all these 3 maps is chaos. So the maps are pretty much something like infantry only, but you have vehicles in them as well. I don't know if I can convey the feeling, but you kind of feel like there's always chaos and you always get into gunfights where you are 1 versus 3 people, 4 people maybe. You're constantly getting flanked and those kind of stuff. So I probably see where these people are coming from when they say the maps are too small. However, we're only seeing 3 of the entire 9 maps that will come out on day 1. So in my opinion, you don't really need to be worrying about these kind of stuff. If I was the developer of this game, I would just try to give the most chaotic maps to people to play first, so they can have a good concept of what destruction looks like, how chaotic this game might get, and all those kind of stuff, just because of the adrenaline and just because of that chaotic feeling that people who play Battlefield are basically used to. You guys have to keep in mind that we used to play Locker, we used to play Metro, so those maps were pure chaos, and they're actually providing these maps with chaotic theme to convey the feeling that we are going back to the roots. That makes sense? So don't really worry about that, because we have not seen 6 more maps that are coming to this game. So the entire game being grounded, the maps being smaller just a bit, kind of forces you to play a lot slower when it comes to Battlefield 2042 and even Battlefield 5. You have to actually play a lot slower, and you have to actually think of what you want to do next, what route you want to take to that objective, how you want to flank enemies. You have to you have to keep all that in mind just to be able to survive. Because of the TTK that is probably lower, because the maps are, in my opinion, linear sometimes, so you don't really have a lot of options to flank. In other words, this will actually promote camping and will completely deny the entire concept of playing aggressive. It's really hard to play aggressive in this game, especially from someone who comes from 2042, who have played Battlefield 4. I remember I could go into a site with 8 people in that site in a game like Battlefield 4, and I could just clear the entire site single-handedly. I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys could do something like that. Above average players can do that, okay? You don't have to be like god level streamer thing. But in this game, that's literally just impossible. You going against 3 people, you're probably just dead. Even when you flank people, you're probably just dead. If you're going against 3, 4 people, you will eventually run out of ammo, your handgun's not that good of a deal, and you're just gonna die. Now let's talk about weapon customization. In my opinion, this is the exact thing that Battlefield needed. I'm really happy that this gunsmith isn't that complicated, because I was always against a complicated gunsmith when it comes to a Battlefield game. I know a lot of people wanted some sort of gunsmith, something like Delta Force, but in my opinion, Delta Force's gunsmith was just too much for a Battlefield game. And in my opinion, the customization, the gunsmith is on point. The attachments are good. I'm pretty sure there will be a lot more attachments when it comes to day 1, but this was just some sort of preview of what it's like to have a customization system, to have a gunsmith in a Battlefield game. And I'm really happy about the fact that they just kept it simple. They didn't go complicated, you know, giving you 15 stocks, 25 scopes. I don't really like that. So Battlefield has to always stick to the basics when it comes to anything like a gunsmith or a weapon customization system. And in my opinion, this one is actually good. For vehicles, I haven't really played a lot. I just jumped on some tanks and got out fast. All I know about it is the vehicles feel like they have weight. Like they feel like that they can actually go into a building. For example, a tank can actually go into a building and destroy the entire thing. It has weight to it. But I've seen a lot of people on Reddit talking about air vehicles, talking about ground vehicles not being on point. Their gameplay sucks. Those kind of stuff. I have to be honest with you guys, I haven't played vehicles, literally haven't played them to be able to give you some sort of insight when it comes to vehicle gameplay. I just feel like there's weight to it, and the vehicle physics just look better in comparison to 2042. And I'm pretty sure there are people who have played vehicles, so they can just go ahead and comment down below. Let me and other players know how they feel about vehicle gameplay, and is it good or does it need any change, those kind of stuff. For gadgets, in my opinion, you know, you can basically just say that we have too many gadgets, but on the other hand, you can't deny the fact that you actually need them all. Like for example, I've played a lot of support today and some assault probably. For support players, you get the deployable shield, which actually can make you some sort of good cover when it comes to capturing objectives and even holding a position, just holding some hallway or anything like that, especially when you're into buildings and that building is literally just destroyed. Those kind of stuff, you can have some cover. You also have your defibrillator, which is a must. You have your signature gadget. Which is the crate. You're gonna get healed and resupplied with the supply crates, and in my opinion, they all are useful. Same goes for assault. So in my opinion, we have so many gadgets. That's correct, but you're gonna get used to it, and I'm pretty sure you're gonna get used to it because you need to. You basically need all the gadgets. You basically need everything you can get to survive, because like it or not, this game isn't really forgiving when it comes to gunfights. About class system, I have to tell you one thing, guys. I've always been on the side of locked weapons to classes. I believe open class is just something that basically just came out of nowhere from 2042. And 2042 is not a really good benchmark when it comes to a Battlefield game. So open class system just doesn't really make sense to me. However, if they want to split the entire community into 2 parts and give them completely separate playlists, I just rather having the entire game as open class instead of having the community split into 2 parts. I just don't like that. I don't think that's healthy for the community, and I don't think it's a good decision when it comes to less populated regions like South America and Middle East. I don't really think that is a good decision, and I believe even if they stick to open class, that's going to be a win over splitting the entire community into 2 parts. So that is my take on the class system. The classes for now look to be on point. About team play, the entire groundedness of this game kind of forces you to play as a team, and it actually promotes squad play even more. Believe it or not, squad TDM is something that comes into this game because of a reason. Your squad really matters, and I don't think I've felt this in any other Battlefield game before, because you basically need them to survive. You can't just be the one-man army like 2042, even like in Battlefield 4, because as I told you, you could be a one-man army even in Battlefield 4, but in this game, that is probably just not possible because of the skill ceiling that we've just talked about. So the game actually rewards team play and rewards squad play, and that is a very good indicator when it comes to just seeing how a Battlefield game goes and the thought process behind that game. So in my opinion, that is also something very good to keep in mind. And lastly, when it comes to performance on PC, in my opinion, you know, things weren't that good for me. I don't really have a beefy graphics card, to be honest. The entire PC is just great, but the graphics card kind of lacks. And I was barely able to go above 60, sometimes 70 FPS. You know, that might be ridiculous to some of you, but that is the entire problem that I have, a graphics card. However, I have my friends with 2060s, with 3070s, and they were all okay with the game. My friend with 3070 was getting something like 120 FPS, probably 120 plus out of the game. And that works good. So probably the performance side for PC is good, but I'm pretty sure it should get better on day one because optimization is one of the last things that developers actually do. So it will definitely get better on launch, and it should, in my opinion. However, when it comes to server side performance, that was actually causing some problems. We had 200,000 queues today, and it was ridiculous how people were just jumping into this game and how servers were lacking to host all those players. And in my opinion, that is basically normal for a beta. So you have to be a bit forgiving when it comes to all this in an open beta. I'm pretty sure visual glitches have been there. That happened to me. There are errors, especially on PC, that completely just force you out of the game. Things like that just happen. But for a beta build, in my opinion, that is completely normal and it's no deal breaker. The game is playable, let's be honest. And if you have something like maybe even a 1060, you can basically play this game on PC with little to no problem. Hope you guys enjoyed this entire first impressions video. I had to be honest about Gunplay, especially Gunplay, because in my opinion that has to change drastically. However, if you have anything against what I've said about any factor that we've talked about, you can go ahead and comment down below. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you disagree with something. Let me know if there are factors that you want to talk about. Just give me your first impressions if you have played in beta as well, and that's going to be very good when it comes to it. Thank you all guys for watching. Hope this video was helpful and somewhat informative, and just letting you know that there are a lot more coming on Battlefield 6 open beta, so stay tuned to the channel, and until next time guys, stay cool.